Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Another exciting show and definitely another exciting guest. Today is the finale to a beautiful story, beautiful journey of a career lost, judgment, loss of friends. Some might even say loss of self-identity. But today is the conclusion of what's next and why. And more importantly, let's do this. What's your purpose now? What's your purpose? I'd like to welcome my co-host for the week, the one, the only, Jennifer
Ruziscka.
I tell you, I was going to pronounce that name and get that name right, Ruziscka.
I think we got a couple episodes after this.
Okay.
Where I'm going to co-host, so you still got a couple more opportunities.
This is the truth or dare of the conclusion, right? So I'm gonna get comfortable, and some of these questions may be definitely heartfelt, but I want people to understand this is judge free. She's not coming here to be badgered, because I know some people will hear these questions and say, well, that's badgerment. This is Jennifer wanting to acknowledge the people, the questions, even though she couldn't do that with the news media and the newspaper, they automatically went on a what we might call a crucifixion, and she wants to come on there and have that beast mindset and say, look, come on with the questions. I'm gonna give you the real deal and nothing but the truth, and she's going to do it on this platform. So let's get started. The journey started with dysfunction in a relationship.
Correct. People
who saw the episode know a little bit about it, that, you got married, everything was peaches and creams, and all of a sudden he decided no more work. I'm going to do a different lifestyle. This went on for 5 years. You created a double life, distanced yourself from the situation, distanced yourself from your kids, so to speak, and spent time working. 5 years. Then decided to take part in an adult website, OnlyFans, to save your house, save your cars, save your money. And I guess to some degree you created a different lifestyle now. Briefly, give us an indication on how this all took place, briefly.
Well, so as you said, finances took a major shift in the home when my husband was no longer working. In hindsight, I certainly understand that I should have been more proactive about investigating the seriousness of the situation that we were in. Maybe not even just taking him at his word at face value, but, asking for validation behind what he was saying. I mean, there was certainly some on my part, but not realizing just how destitute we had become and the position we were in to potentially lose the home and really change the lifestyle, the routines for our children in the process. So I made a decision, a desperate decision in a moment of panic, even though I knew and still understand to this day that it was breaking a code of conduct, an oath that I took to being an educator. I mean, I knew that.
What was the oath?
The oath is it's kind of like, it's a moral oath, an oath to uphold, making sure that whatever you're doing on social media is in good taste, that it reflects good character, strong values. Mm-hmm. And so obviously my decision to act so desperately to get my hands on money in not only the fastest way possible, but the most efficient way possible, where I could do it in as quickly as I could, but with little time out of my day, because I didn't have any additional time to do it. But I definitely know that what I did, it ultimately cost me my job. It cost me my identity. Mm-hmm. It cost me the role that I felt that I had created as a mother for my children.
You mentioned something here. You mentioned you didn't have time because you was devoting to the people in your classroom. But somehow or another, you made time to do what you did. Isn't that kind of contradicting itself?
No, because that took me a matter of, I could take pictures, shoot a short video clip, because this was all just me. It was me. I was my own, my own photographer, my own videographer. As a one-woman show. So in, 10 minutes, I had content, post it, respond to some comments that were made, slide into some DMs for some, sexting or whatever you want to call it, some sexual conversation, and then be done with it in 30, 40, less than an hour out of my day.
Isn't that almost, but then you have to create this character to do this. I mean, I don't know. I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying.
Sure.
To do any type of content creation,
you step into a role.
Into a role.
Sure.
How did this role come up? Because this wasn't something that you just went to an OnlyFans page and said, okay, well, blah, 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 blah. You had to create the fictional character or semi-fictional character to play the role. Does that make any sense? Well,
it does, but I think the idea is that, it was a matter of putting on lingerie or taking off clothes and posting pictures, trying a certain pose or an angle or whatnot. There really wasn't a lot of thought behind it. There was not, it was really done instantaneously. And to be honest with you, in my classroom, I was somebody, like when it came to reading stories with my students or reading novels, we would do the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet. I was constantly playing different characters. So, and one of the things that the students loved about me was that listening to me read and character voices, the ways that I would make stories come alive. So it was very easy for me to just, become this other person that I needed to be in that moment and for those moments, for the sake of getting that content out there to get money into my hands.
If I was to Google you, your net worth as a teacher is almost $80,000. Now we're going to read some of the comments. $80,000, you could really rechange your life and still keep your job without resorting to that. I'm help the viewers understand. And I used to be a teacher, so I know that's not a lot of money, but you're seeing your life. This is a 5-year stand that your alleged husband choose not to work. You should have, not I'll say you should have. Why didn't you recognize and become proactive, knowing that you just quoted the moral conduct of being a teacher? You're seeing collateral damage being performed in your house by your husband not participating in whatever role he should be as the father. You checked out. I'm just trying to help understand, why didn't you become a little bit more proactive before doing this? Because this is the question. That's one part of the question. The second part of the question is, when we did the interview and a lot of people saw that podcast and they sent a bunch of questions too. If you knew this was so degrading to you, why not just click the button and move on? Because the thing is, you still got a job. that's the biggest issue here. You still have a job. You still are respected. You have a job. Why didn't you why didn't you just stop?
I mean, why didn't I? So first of all, why didn't I
become more proactive?
Okay. Well, first of all, you talk about the finances, and I think my income was $74,000. My take home every single month was $3,600. Okay, mortgage was $1,500. Car lease was $385. Taxes, groceries, utility bills. That money only went. So while you look at the number for the salary, that doesn't reflect the amount of money that was in my pocket at the end of every 2 weeks. And there was a mountain of debt that was incurred, some of which I didn't even know about until the phone calls came in. So it's not like I was presented with just, we're not making house payments. It's we're not making house payments. We haven't paid property taxes in over a year. We have no car. I mean, and so why, again, that's why I said I should have been. I was an English teacher.
Okay,
Numbers were not my thing. I stayed away from finances anyway altogether, but I was avoiding a lot of confrontation and a lot of conflict in the home. Honestly, in part for my own sanity, my own ability to function. I mean, the amount of dysfunction and toxicity in that home. And then when things were addressed, it created a hellacious environment for my kids to be in. It involved, my kids they're teenagers. They got involved in this conversation. And then you had 4 people involved, daughter crying, son ready to take down his father. I mean, it was a horrible situation.
How many months had passed before all of this started to evolve? Because you stayed in that situation disconnected for 5 years. To me, and I would have, I get it, what you're saying, but if it went longer than a year and because bill collectors are going to start calling you. It didn't take a year for the bill collectors to start calling. It didn't take an everyday thing for you to go check your mail every day and realize the bills are behind.
It did take more than a year because here's the thing. There were investments that he had. There was a savings that he had access to. And then there was a home equity loan that
you never checked any of your bills, no mail?
I knew my bills because we had 2 separate accounts. I was, so the electric bill was being paid. My credit card bill was being paid. The water bill was being paid. The groceries were being paid for. Kids, school cheerleading function activities. Those things were being paid. I didn't know that he was not able to make ends. And when I would bring it up, it was that there's money there. The severance is still there. I've got some investments. I've tapped into some of the investments. I'm pulling from the investments. We're fine. So that's, the double life, I think, was not just then led by me, but by him in the home as well. I was only getting so much information with which to deal with. And that's where I said, in hindsight, I should have asked for prove it to me. Show me how this is getting, I should have done that. I absolutely should have done that. And I didn't. And
how long had passed before you start realizing that it had escalated? Because you're talking a 5-year span. I like I said, when you have bills, excuse me, the motherfuckers is knocking. I mean, so you was not aware of nothing until almost a 5-year period that nothing had been paid?
Well, it's not that things hadn't been paid for 5 years. So that's what I'm saying, is that it's not that things weren't paid for 5 years. Mm-hmm. It's just that the money eventually ran out during that time. That's when I'm starting to find out, because there's no more money. So mortgage payments had been missed for a few months in a row. Mm-hmm. Now I'm getting a call. The car lease hadn't been paid since June. Well, in October, I'm getting a call. The letter about the taxes, he's at home. He's not working. He's intercepting mail. I don't have access to all of the information that I needed. Some of that is on my part, but some of that is also on his.
you confided in someone during this time, how much time had lapsed before you went and started sharing this with your confidant, your friend, the guy, the person that allegedly blew the whistle?
So how much time lapsed from the time that I started the site to when I told him?
When you start having the problem, because you started to confide the troubles that was in your household to somebody.
Oh, I was confiding those back. Like, I mean, it was probably a year after he had lost his job. Because by then it was like, here we are, we're a year in. And also there was more time for me to talk to people because by then COVID had happened. I had to report to work every day, but we were doing online classes. So I had some more free time during the day. One, in which to just, communicate them with colleagues. But two, to even think about and stew in the situation that I was in and what was unfolding in the home. So I did have some time, and he was slowly learning about just how bad things were at home.
Now, who was he?
That was the administrator that I talked to at the school.
So within a year, you recognized some shit wasn't done, and you found a confidant, a colleague to share this information. Now, this is a year, but you're talking 5 years. Why not being proactive within that year? Because you clearly indicated that you recognized that some shit was going on because you went and confided with your friends.
I did. And I did. We were in therapy. We sought therapy. And I mean, I even then, after going to several months of therapy with my husband, it was clear that he wasn't there to put in the work that needed to be done to address the issues at hand and attempt to resolve them. And I then was going to therapy by myself after that for even a good year after that time. Until then, I was having trouble with paying the bills that I was paying because the credit card debt was growing because there was, bills that I was picking up that, he's turning over to me because there's not money to pay them. So I'm turning them. So I had to cut therapy. I had to cut that out of something that I truly needed, something that the two of us truly needed, but you can't bring in an unwilling participant. And, I can't do this. I can't resolve these issues by myself.
I just find it difficult that a father of your children, he's the biological father of your children, your first husband, what kind of job did he have?
He was in logistics.
Would just let a home that you guys built go down, pretty much check out, and the closest you guys got to trying to fix the solution is therapy, where he checked out again. Why didn't you continue to talk to him? I mean, I'm trying to understand.
Why didn't I try to continue to talk to him?
Yeah, because you checked out too within a year. So what I'm saying is you guys both knew that something was wrong here. So it would appear that...
Did we just go our separate ways?
Yeah. I mean, why did you stay?
That costs money.
Okay, but you still have some money now. You're not at the 5 year.
I don't have money in reserve. All I have is money to make ends meet, or at least make the ends meet in the way that I thought they needed to be made.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So why not just check out and say, look, he's
divorce
checked out.
Costs money, and being the one who is the provider in the home, because I sought into it, I looked into it, and I was going to have to pay alimony. So not only does divorce cost me additional funds, I am also going to have to pay him for because I am the breadwinner in the home. I mean, that's what I had facing me. So it was costing me financially. It was saving me money by staying in that home and in that marriage.
Okay. And remember, I'm telling the viewers, this is judge free, and I hope I'm not being forward with my questions.
Not at all.
Okay,
not at all.
Okay, so that's
and I want to be clear too. You know what I mean? And here's the thing: I am not. My mission sitting here is not to get people to agree with me.
But to
they
try
don't have to.
But to try to understand.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go right to the question. If people really want to go deeper into what happened, they can listen to the first episode. This is the final conclusion, and we're going to ask the questions that's based off of that. Okay. You know, maybe I should get an iPhone because. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the first question.
You heard it here first. He said maybe you should get an iPhone.
Never. I had an iPhone. I'm a Samsung guy. You know, I like Samsung. Okay, so the first question. I'm trying to read these things because some people don't taste good. Are you the one who possibly exposed yourself to gain more followers in order to make more money? Because by having more followers, that is the only way to earn more money in the industry.
I love that question. And I love that question because I've also heard, which that was painful. So first of all, let me just say this. So when I actually resigned instead of fighting for my position to avoid the media exposure. Did I know that the media exposure could draw me more money? Absolutely. But not a single additional penny was worth the trauma that my family would endure and that my kids in my classroom would endure by that being exposed. While my sole agenda for going on OnlyFans and Fansly was to make money.
OnlyFans and what's the other one?
Fansly. Yeah, Fansly.
Okay.
And I made a little bit more money. OnlyFans is inundated. And so that's what I found. So I created that one because OnlyFans that's the popular one. So I found another site and there wasn't so much competition there. There were less creators. So I was able to get on there and get more followers or subscribers.
So this is a question before we finish answering that one. Not only did you do one, you did two.
I shifted, actually. I mean, I actually found that I wasn't, okay, I got a little bit of reaction here initially with OnlyFans, but then I was like, is there anything else out there? Because this isn't making me enough money quickly enough for my situation, and quickly enough not only for my situation, but then to get off this thing as quickly as possible too. Because again, I was not looking for any kind of a lifestyle change. I was looking for survival. That's all I was looking for. Get me to pay the bills. You know, if this thing blew up in one way, it wouldn't have mattered to me. And as I said, there were numerous offers, numerous opportunities for additional money, 6-figure offerings. I didn't care. I just wanted enough to get myself out of the hole that I was in, to get my kids to be able to continue the routines that they had. That was it.
So the question is, did you expose yourself to get more followers?
Yes. So
to make more money.
Correct. So as I was presented with, you could resign or you could fight it. I said, well, absolutely, I'm going to fight it. I have developed a reputation at that school. I know I'm so good at what I do. I want to fight it. Well, when I heard that by fighting it, then that was going to require it to go in front of the board. And when it goes in front of the board, then the media gets a hold of it. Well, I thought, hell no. And it's not worth fighting it. I'm going to resign. Mm-hmm. I don't want this going public in any way, shape, or form. So that's how that went down. Now, there was certainly talk around after I left. There was talk about why I left, because I was hardly ever absent. So that was a big deal for me to be gone. So of course, then eventually talk got out. She was on OnlyFans. She did this. There was talk, but there was no validation to it. Well, I had then found during that time.
Hold that thought for a minute.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. Then cut you off. If there was talk going around, and now you've really created another identity. Let's call it what it is. Mm-hmm. You've gotten into character because you're making money so much that you go create another app. If you've gotten taken into the office and they don't have the validation, why didn't you just shut shit down? Because you still have the option to probably save your job.
No, they already had it. They had a private investigator go in, create an account, and I was baited. So I think, when I shared with that confidant, that ultimately was shared with administration, who then went in and
they created an account, and you bit the bullet, sent pictures, communicated, sexing,
yes.
the whole 9 yards.
Yep. Well, and not only, and that's when through the communication, the DMs is where I exposed my face, because people wanted to see, okay, there's this like who is this, and is this really you and your body? And I get, you know what I mean? How can you validate the authenticity of this? So it was those things then, and I know that they had that because I had to go into the board office separately. Even though I was resigning, I still had to have a private hearing, and those images and the DMs were presented to me, and I just was told to remain quiet, which I did. So, but yeah, so they had that validation.
So you didn't expose yourself for more followers?
No. So then I'm with an online site in the time. So almost 2 months had passed. I had secured a job with an online school. My second day in that position, the local news contacted me for a statement, and that's when I said, "Why are you running? Why? Why are you going to run this story now?" This was 2 months ago. And then I said, please don't do this. My daughter's in a neighboring school. This has been hard enough on her as it is. I don't need this to be exposed in the news. Heard nothing again. So then my daughter comes home from school, told her
How old is your daughter at this time?
She is 16.
And none of this ever crossed your mind?
Never.
That this shit can backfire and fuck up a lot of shit?
No, never.
Okay.
I when I was doing this, when I made that decision to start that account, I knew, and I thought about, God, please don't let me lose my job. Please let me get through this. Let this get me through and get me what I need. You know how much I love what I'm doing in the classroom, but I never once considered what could have happened if this does get out. Not only are you going to lose your job, but your kids are going to know about this. And not only are the kids going to know about this, but then their friend, the community. Yeah, I never considered those ramifications.
Why not put that kind of effort in creating a double life on 2 porn sites and go get it? Go do something that doesn't put anybody in danger.
Like I said, I didn't want to change the way I taught with those additional hours I was putting in at home. So I wanted to find something that could be done with so little time and still make enough or generate enough money to help bridge that gap. Okay. So the second day of my online schooling, that's when so my daughter comes, so that's where I was. My daughter comes home, tell her what's going on. She's like, oh my God, we can't. I said, I thought this wasn't going to happen because you resigned. I said, I did the best that I could. I can't help it. She wanted to call that news anchor. She did. I stood right by my daughter's side while she pleaded with her not to run that story and said, please, I know what my mom did. I know why she did it. And I understand and I support her. But please, this is not good for my mental health. Please don't do this. She said, please don't think like a news anchor. Think like a mother who's trying to support her children. And the woman just said, thank you. And she hung up the phone and the story was on an hour later.
I know this is hard for you, and I admire that you want to tell your side of the story. So I'm going to ask this question, and I know it's going to probably be difficult. The rumors at this point is just rumors. Now the rumors have become validated because of the Section 8. You got coerced into. I don't want to use the word coerced because you was running a business. Just call it what it is. You was running a so-called business through the social media. What was the response? This is probably going to be emotional, but what was they saying to your daughter and your son prior to it being leaked
out
on
the news? Horrible things, like horrible things, like calling my daughter, she's her mom's the one who does OnlyFans. I mean, that was out there.
the talk was out there. My daughter was confronted. I remember being in the doctor's office because I knew I needed some help, and it was on that day in February, about a week after this had transpired, and my daughter was texting saying, well, kids are talking, and confronting her, and that's when I was sitting in that doctor's office, and she was going to admit me, and I said, please don't, my kids need me, and I need my kids, and I promise I won't do any harm to myself that would only make the situation worse for my children. They've been through enough trauma, and that would make the situation worse for the kids at school. I would never want my kids to think that anything is worth taking their lives over. So I can't set that example. I know I may have set a poor example by my content, but I can't do that. You can't bring, once life is gone, it's gone. So I just, so it was already out there before it was validated. And then the validation from the news story was horrific in the sense that not only did they bring the story to light, but they put out the name of the site. And people flock to it, and that's what aligns with that question, because people would think that's what I wanted, and that was horrible, because my children were then exposed, because people went on there, they knew how to find it. It was no more, it was not only validated in print, but in image, because now they knew where to go. They knew where to find my content, and they could spread it around the school.
One of the next questions was, let me go to the next one, and let's take a deep breath. I know you're trying to get it all out, and I appreciate that. So the next question is, when it went public the way it did, the question is, I'm trying to understand what they said. They said they watched the show, the episode, and you said that you liked the idea that you was getting notifications, more money was coming in. And the question that they said was, why didn't you dismember as soon as it went out?
First of all, I know I did not. If you go back to that, I know there's no way I said that I liked that the money was coming in. It was, I believe I said I was relieved that money was coming in.
What's the difference?
Relief? Because it's like is the enjoyment. Relief is that you are feeling a sense of burden.
But why would you
disappearing?
Why would you want anything at this point then to shut that shit down?
Because I needed the money. It all goes back to the money. The money was a means of survival. And the fact that then money is coming in, that can help bridge that gap faster and get me off of that site sooner.
So I guess the person that asked the question, you enjoyed the fact that the money was coming in.
I would never say that that's a sense of enjoyment. Okay. It's not enjoying. It's almost like, because to me, and again, I'm not talking to that person who's asking the question, but it's coming across to me as if I loved making it rain. I mean, if I loved so much the money coming in, I would have put additional content out there that would have brought in a hell of a lot more money than what I was bringing in with the content that was out there.
Okay, so the question is, at the end of the day, your daughter just got traumatized. You're in the doctor's office. The shit is now viral. Your phone is dinging, ding, ding, ding. Everybody's subscribing. This is key. I think this is what they're saying. Everybody's subscribing now. You increased the prices to, I guess, detour, but
it was to detour. Yes,
but they're paying to do this, and I get it. It's about the money, but this is a two-part question. Let's do this question because that's what the person asked. Why not just shut it down? At this point,
I have no other.
At this point, I'm not even thinking about money. I'm looking at my kids, and I'm looking at the collateral damage that I just caused. I'm not concerned about money. I'm shutting that shit down until I can neutralize this shit. I get it. Green bean. I'm gonna increase the prices. You want to see me naked? $2,000. Boom. The money's coming in. Did you ever look at your kid and go, damn, this shit needs to stop right now? I need to reevaluate. Sometimes the money that you're trying to get is not worth what your kids just went through.
Right.
I think that's what they're trying to say in this question.
Right. No, and I can understand that. But like I said, all my focus was to be able to maintain the situation, the routine that we had, the house that we had. Bills were higher than what they were before I lost my job because I lost my job. The job, even with the online school, I just started day one. Just started one day before then the news got a hold of it. And with that position alone, I was only making half of what my salary was with my original teaching position. So I was already then making less than I was making before I lost my job.
The next question. How much did you make during the exposure, roughly, with the increase in prices and all that? Because you didn't deter people.
No, it was almost $30,000.
You made $30,000 in a day.
No. I thought you meant just with so there were over a period of 2 months, because the stories, so the local news got it, then the national news, or even international, like UK Daily Mail, New York Post. I mean, it went everywhere. But over the time frame that story was coming out, and then I was on a couple of radio shows to try to talk about what was going on and a little bit about the why behind it as gracefully and as discreetly as I could, because I didn't want to bring other people into it. But that's when then the money was, so over that period of 2 month period, it was $30,000. Now that's of course also prior to taxes, because remember, I got to go back, I got to file taxes, and so all that has to come out. So that's prior to taxes.
Where was your husband when the news leaked out? Where was he?
He was home.
Where
else was he going to be?
So what was his response?
What? Look what you've done to my name. That's great. My name. And then it was, I'm going to the gym, and people are, because mind you, he's not working. Okay? He's still not working. But it was going to the gym, and people are, there's talk out there like I was behind all of this, that I put you up to this, or that we were doing this together.
Did he put you up to it?
No, he had no idea. And like I said in the initial, in our initial segment, not only did he have no idea, when he did find out, he was disgusted. But still, even at that point, did he say, all right, you're not doing this? Did he even consider what this might mean for our kids? No, he still did not seek employment.
Let's do the next question. Are you okay?
I'm okay. Yeah.
Okay. You want some water? Yep. Get some water, because you're telling your story. This is all about you. Now, the next question. If your marriage was suffering, then shouldn't your focus be more on your kids?
Agree. Absolutely. Yeah. In hindsight, I really should have. At what point? The fact that I had put my kids and my family secondary for so long. Even before.
When did you check out with your kids? You started.
I wouldn't say.
And some people, was it? Because some people were calling me and giving me their questions, and they said something that, as profound as this may sound, you didn't just check out from your kids because you was involved with the other guy. Then maybe you were spending more time cultivating a relationship more so than helping your kids, and the kids at the school and your kids is what they were saying.
Oh no! No. I just, I think, like I said, in hindsight, it's the fact that I should have done more. I did try to do some things to help save the marriage. Like I said, I can't.
Like what? We never talked about it in the first part.
Therapy.
Okay, the therapy.
Right, the therapy, and even, conversations with him. But he's leading his own, I guess,
double life in the sense that, I mean, because he's going to the gym. Nobody knows that he's not working. I mean, none of the neighbors knew that
Your next door neighbor knows what we'll talk about last.
No. He even said, because I think I said something. What does she, when I addressed it with him, I said, what does she think about you not working? He said, well, she doesn't know. And I said, well, what? I'm not surprised because I can't imagine she'd find that real attractive. That's what I said to him. So yeah, I mean, he was leading this double life too. But yes, I should have stopped devoting so much time and energy into my students. I think, the only explanation I have for that, which is not to justify it. I'm not justifying that. I just want to make that clear because I don't want to say that was right. But at school is where I flourished. At home is where it was failing. And you're just drawn to areas where you thrive. You tend to avoid.
But then your kids was if it was that bad at the house and you're about to lose everything and now you're at the 5-year mark, to me I would have been, like I said, I can only assume from a human standpoint, I would have been more proactive from within 6 months to a year. I mean, 5 years is kind of like, okay, you're just tolerating it and then waiting until the ship falls. But to go back to the question as it relates to your children, what did your children say anything to you on how they're feeling that you're not there, that you checked out?
No, to be honest with you, I think they felt better when mom and dad were not in the same room together.
Explain.
Because they knew that was just a fire waiting to ignite.
Okay.
I think the home was better when all of us weren't together the same time in it. And it's almost like they were also finding ways to busy themselves to do things so that they weren't there either.
Let's do the next question. You claim you turned to this industry because you needed money, so you wouldn't lose your car and house. Mortgage companies and banks work with people to help them keep their home. What's your take on that?
Yeah, and I've heard that before. I didn't know that then. I mean, I honestly didn't even know that was an option. I thought it was just, here it is. You haven't paid property taxes, so your house is in tax foreclosure. Yeah, you've missed some mortgage payments. Contact them and see what can be done. I was naive to any of that. I didn't look into any of that.
What about the guy that you were seeing? I mean, if you start sharing with him within a year of recognizing some shit was going on, I mean, how come he didn't give some advice and say, you know what, why don't you just try to go look into getting your home refinanced or something like this? I mean, what kind of advice was he giving you within that 5-year period?
None. Absolutely none. He's not going to give me recommendations about what to do because he knows that by starting that conversation, I'm going to come back at him and say, what about you? What are you going to do?
Meaning what?
Meaning to him. Like, what are you going to do? Don't tell me, why don't you go find out if we can, adjust, the mortgage or, find out how, if they'll work with us on the car. He doesn't want to bring up any of that stuff with me because he knows it's his actions that have brought us.
No, I mean the guy that you were seeing, the confidant guy that I have shared everything.
No
with.
Idea.
Why didn't he step up and say, hey,
no clue. I have no idea. Nobody I talked to said, why don't you talk to the banks? Why don't you? Yeah, nobody.
What about your girlfriends?
No, nobody I talked to ever brought that up. And I didn't know. And like I said. And
your mom and dad?
No, but I will say this. My mom and dad did not know how bad things were. I kept a lot of that from them because the ages at which they were, and I just didn't want to burden them with that. I bet had I said more, because I know, and especially my dad, very smart man. My mom maybe not so much, because my dad is also the one that handled all the finances. But I bet he would have, had I, swallowed my, it wasn't pride, because that's not why I said it more because, I think part of it was pride. I didn't want them to be disappointed in me. I didn't want them to be disappointed in me and where I let things go. I also know that, there were times growing up where it was like, are you sure you want to be a teacher? And they don't make a lot of money. Or, there were conversations about, well, don't you want to marry somebody who can provide for you so that you can stay at home with the kids? And I felt like there was a lot of, I can do it as a teacher. I can make it as a teacher. I'll be fine. And I can provide a good lifestyle. I may not be in the field of medicine, but I can provide a good upbringing for my children being an educator. So I think there was a little bit of that. But then there was also the fact that they were older and ailing a bit. And I just didn't want to burden them with that.
Take a deep breath. Relax. Like I said, you coming on here to air it out, man. That's that beast mindset for real, And I like the fact that you're telling the way it really is. I tell people, nobody knows the real story but you. You can read the newspapers all day long. And some of this stuff is vital because they prove it's vital.
Or what I was thinking in those moments and why I was thinking it. Right.
Now let's get to the next question. Man, these people asked all kind of questions here. If the mortgage wasn't paid, how you figure by turning to the industry, you will make enough money in a short time to get caught up with months of missing mortgage payments?
Because I knew people were thriving in that industry. I mean, it was clear that,
now, who was the people? You keep saying people. So,
just people. I mean, there was talk that was an industry that was a platform that was growing. It was getting a lot of, it was helping a lot of people. I mean, there were just stories out there of people saying, including teachers, who were able to make a lot of money from those sites.
So did you research this?
Not heavily, and certainly not heavily enough. Had I researched it heavily enough, I would have learned more about it. Hopefully even learn more about just because I was so social media naive that I think I would have been intelligent enough to pick up that, okay, not only are you looking at risking your job, but this is going to be out there forever. Forever. This isn't as temporary as my mind thought that it was. I didn't realize how permanent this truly became, or could become, and ultimately became.
So what's your answer to the question?
That's it. That I was under the impression from what I had seen, what I had read about it, that I could make a lot of money. So I even thought, because obviously if I thought to myself, if I knew that, well, these people are on there 7-8 hours a day, and that's what it was going to, then why wouldn't I go get another job, right? Because I was looking for something that I could do in such a short window of time in a day and get a decent amount of money in that short window of time. And from what I had read, it sounded like that was going to be checking those boxes.
When you say what you had read, where was you reading? It
was just online. News articles online, comments, Reddit.
Okay.
Other social media platforms.
Okay. Let me do the next question. To immediately open an account in this industry, did you look for validation, attention, empowerment, personal fulfillment, and had a fantasy that you needed to fulfill?
No, and I addressed that before. I felt it was very degrading. It was disgusting. I mean, it's not who I am. It is not at all who I am. And when you talk about like stepping into a role, a character, like that is a...
Did you create a character when you went online?
No. I mean, it wasn't even that. It was just like, it was me. I mean, there were certainly requests to like create some kind of a character. There were even requests for like role playing, like teacher-student role playing. Hell no. That is absolutely disgusting to me. Absolutely disgusting to me. the mother son, mother stepson. I mean, just like I said, there were fetishes and kinks that I didn't even know were a thing, or maybe never really had to think about because I've never been around anything like that before. So
that goes to the next question. They said, did you perform these fetishes?
No. I mean, it was nothing more than just a level of pleasing myself, like is a natural form of, sexual pleasure that anybody might do to themselves. It's nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay. Man, you got a lot of questions.
And it was, and I will be honest. I mean, and I don't care if by being honest about this, that this takes away from, money that's being spent on the site. Even today, I do not get off on what I am doing. It's not me. You like what you see. That is what it is, but it's an act. It's a complete act.
It says, if you felt degraded, dirty, and made you feel disgusting doing it, why continue staying in the industry? I think there's more to this question. Let me see. Yeah, I think they're doing a two-part question. In this industry, and if her husband was laid off with severance pay, he still would have been able to, meaning you, he would have still been able to qualify for unemployment. Wow.
Oh, he did. Yeah, that's interesting they bring that up because we all know how unemployment worked, and especially during COVID. That helped us out a lot. I mean, so that also helped.
What was his reason? I'm not trying to cut you off. What was his reason for not wanting to work?
I don't know. I said I point blank asked him, why aren't you working yet? That's kids. A really good question. Yes.
You got kids.
And again, you can talk about there's clearly something that he's going through, because I will say that because I do want people to understand he is working now. He has a job now. He loves his job. That job he did not secure until 1 month before he moved out of the house when the divorce was finalized. That's how down to the wire it got. And had I not filed for divorce, and then there was a timeline, a deadline for him to vacate the home, I do not believe he would be working right now.
So the other part of that question is, if you felt degraded, dirty, and disrespectful, why are you still in the industry? Why did you stay in the industry?
I'm only making $1,900 a month from my retirement because I was forced to retire early, and I have an online platform I'm trying to build, one to make an impact on others. I have a network marketing gig I'm doing. It is giving me an opportunity to improve the quality of life for other people, but it is taking time. Like any business, it takes time to grow. So I'm working on that. Once that gets to a point where that thing is gone. But what's unfortunate is I can shut it down, but like I said, it's permanent. It's forever.
The next question somebody's asked, you want to drink some water, cool down a little bit?
No, I might get a little.
So we almost done with these questions because they're pouring in. So the next question is, asked her, knowing the ramifications and consequences of what she's doing, how much longer will she continue to do the adult industries, aka OnlyFans? I think you kind of somewhat summed that up.
I did, and I just want to say too. I mean, my kids know. And they know what I'm doing. They have a different perspective on it. And they do understand that they are still in that same home because of those sites being up and running. They also respect the fact that I set the boundaries that I have.
What do you mean when you say set the boundaries?
Like I'm not putting out content on
that is going to make me a heck of a lot more money, like involving collaborators. I've had so many offers for people to collaborate with me, and I'm well aware of how that can help me grow, because I've also seen other educators who have lost their position but have gone that route, and that's their choice. For me personally, like I said, it's degrading enough to have just images of myself out there.
And everybody else having images of you.
Right.
Your former students may have images
I'm sure.
of you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Parents of former students, people in the community who had such high regard for me, which I know we'll eventually, we'll address. But absolutely. No, I know all of that.
Let's do the next question. I'm going to wrap some of these questions up. It says, what was the motive and reason behind you considering taking these steps in your life?
The site?
Yeah.
Is that what? Yeah. I mean, the motive was money. And that was it.
Okay.
Money, fast.
Okay. So many people are basically asking the same thing. Do you think how it would affect people, especially people who you're close to?
No, I did not. No, I did not think about how.
When did you think about it? When did that?
When it was too
surface?
late. When it was too late.
When it got to the news.
When I lost my job, because then it was like I had to tell my kids why mom was not going to be. I mean, that's when I had to. So it was then, like, when the damage was so not even before the media coverage, but it was when I had to have that conversation with my kids.
The next question, somebody said, your story sounds like a thief who finally got caught. Now you want to make people understand that it was all your husband's doing.
Absolutely. And no, and I want to be clear in that, because
What you kept doing it. That's a vital point. As hard as that question may have sound, would you have kept going if you didn't get caught? If you wasn't exposed? You're making money.
If I'm making them, yes. But if I didn't get caught, if I were still in the classroom today, but already had made the money I needed to make to get caught up and be in the position I needed to be in to save the home, that'd be done. And it would be something that would go with me to the grave.
Okay. And the next question.
Yeah.
Is there any other underlying desires for attention and validation here?
Not at all. No. And that could be from the sites. It could even be from this. Like, I'm not from being here today and talking about this. No, because like I said, I'm understand, like, hindsight. Okay. I think we've all been in situations where we've done things.
I've done a lot of shit.
And you look back and it's like, I mean, this was not just dumb. It was detrimental. It was detrimental.
Take your time.
But I shouldn't.
Are you blaming? This next question is very crazy.
I just want to make it. I'm here not for any kind of, not even for sympathy or empathy or anything, but just that I shouldn't have to pay for this for the rest of my life. When we make those decisions that are dumb, or in my case, detrimental, we shouldn't have to be branded for life because of that.
Yeah, you're right. You got the point. Okay.
You put them close. So
yeah.
I got 'em.
When we did the first episode, we had to go get them.
No. Yeah. So go ahead.
So the next question that somebody wrote, we're almost done with the questions too. It says, has your perception of this changed through the entire process of the, and if so, how?
Absolutely. Like I said, I realized that it's cost me a lot more than I ever thought that it would. And, more than the job that I love, more than the identity that I held and valued. But like I said, the trauma that my own children had to endure. So absolutely.
You would support your children. Would you support your children? Would you support your children choosing this as a means to an end?
That's a really good question. And it's interesting because I know my daughter, she had a TikTok that she did at work with a friend of hers. And that TikTok went viral. And then offers were, like, she was just suddenly getting offers for money. People were just sending her money to buy things. I was very concerned about that. In fact, I almost even did a Facebook Live about, parents be very aware of just how, and these were just offers just for money. But then it was like, where is this going to go from here? So, yeah. And I mean, and she, and especially she being 18 now, has even said, she could go on there and I could make some money. But honestly, I don't believe I'll ever have to face that with my own children, because I think they've learned through me that the cost is much greater than the benefit. Any benefit, whether it's a means to it, any benefit, the cost is much greater.
Is there a message that you want to share with the world?
Wow, that's a powerful question. I know who I am. I know that how much I'm invested. My position in the classroom, I mean, any teacher, the position is purpose, right? To impact lives. And that's always what I've wanted, is to make a difference. And I just need people to know that I still have that within me to be able to make a difference. And I know that I have been able to make a difference even with the circumstances, and coming out and sharing my story has made an impact. But I don't want that to be the only way that I can continue to make it, because I don't want that to be the identity of me. I want to be that person who inspires growth and belief and empathy and compassion in others. We've had, obviously, in co-hosting too, we've talked to a lot of people, and just I would like to be part of this movement to just bring people together instead of tear people down.
I like the way you said that. We're almost done. We got 2 more questions, and then we're going to read some very inspirational things from people that know you on a more personal level, former students, and even more importantly, a former superintendent. The next question: at this point in your life, what's your purpose?
My purpose is to impact lives. I mean, I'm in an organization right now that is working to improve the quality of life for individuals, young and old. And I feel very blessed to have that kind of an opportunity where I do get to make an impact on the lives of others, healing and not just in body but in mind. And that's what I'm doing. I've got some lives that I'm doing on my Facebook page, trying to do that consistently, where I'm just talking about the importance of mindset and really, had I even been in a better mind, like had I been doing some of that.
Are you changing your mind?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And even just my own
awakening?
habits of personal growth.
Yeah.
Right. That help to create that awakening and that realization that, and that's what's allowed me to even recognize, maybe this is because I'm built for more than just what I could accomplish inside of a classroom.
What did K Hug share with you last night? I thought that was that last little remark she made and told you to
I don't remember.
Well, she talked about breathing because she has that song.
So have you breathed yet?
Yes.
Okay. Feel better?
I have. And I mean, and just even being here and talking to the guests we've talked to, I mean, it's honestly, some of it's been the therapy that I've needed, but I haven't been able to afford. So, I said that to her, like I knew that I was meant to be in this chair. And
you know what? Even your boyfriend was like, wow, she really needed this, and he's proud of you too.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, let's go over some of those beautiful text messages that you got from some of your students.
Yeah, I'm
gonna let you read some of them.
Okay, I did. So, here's what happened. I mean, there were a lot of people, I'll just say, who when the news broke, and I mean, I think all of us, like you see I mean, I know you're told like not to go out there and pay attention to what people are saying, but it's just, you just want to know.
It's just curiosity. Yeah, you want to know.
You just want to know. And so I was on the local news and I was reading the comments and because here's what was very interesting, because when my son, he even said, because I mean, as somebody he's a teenager at the time, or I think, he was 19 at the time. He said, Mom, this is out there forever.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, like, he understood the real cost here and the permanent consequences of my actions, and was lecturing me about that. And he's somebody who's very strong in his faith. I mean, I'm very proud of, because I talked about his mental decline. He's come a long way. So he's made a huge impact on me, but he talked about, and that's the consequences of that. So he even went on and was reading some of what people, and he said, and he came up to me and he said, I just want to read what some people are saying. And I remember I was in the kitchen, I was fixing dinner, and I just broke down and I said, I don't want to hear it. I said, no, I think you need to hear this. And I was worried because of the conversation we had. And most of the comments were really, really positive.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were positive from people who knew me. And that's what meant the world to me, is that those who knew me were taking the time to not just stand up for me, but also hope that I would read their messages of encouragement and support and reassurance. And I
don't think none of the comments that we read today were bad. I think it was more people wanting to get inside your head.
Sure.
To put themselves in your shoes. Because I looked at all of them and I shared, which I said, they're really not bad questions. They're questions that if I'm listening to a podcast and I've read the report on what the media put out there, they seem to be really legitimate questions. I don't think they was senseless. They were things that I would say, why did this happen? Who, what, where do you plan to go from this moment on? And more importantly, the last question on there is that they said is what's next for you in the future. But we'll close that out when we read a couple of those. Read about 3 or 4 of those, and make sure we read the one from the superintendent.
Oh yeah, so I'll address. In fact, I'll just read. I've got one from a former superintendent, and then one from a former student.
Okay.
Again, both. I mean, these were unsolicited, messages then that were sent to me. And actually, and just to be, well, I'll address that when I get to the former student. So the former superintendent said that while I've not been in regular contact with you since my retirement, I wanted you to know, and this was after this came out in the, or before the news, but he had heard because he was close enough to people in the district to know that I was no longer with the district.
Believe me, it probably went viral pretty quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he said, while I've not been in regular contact with you since my retirement, I wanted you to know a couple of important opinions I've always had of you. First and foremost, you are a gifted teacher. I've always been impressed with the care you have provided, even with our most challenging students. You are bright, energetic, caring, and dedicated. I have no idea the extent of pressure you've been under or the circumstances that you've culminated in your current situation. I just want you to know I have profound respect for you and wish nothing but the best for you down the road. You are a strong and resilient young lady. Keep the faith and soldier on.
Wow. And that was a former.
It was a former superintendent.
Let's get the one with the young girl.
Oh yeah, the former student. So, and I just want to be clear, the students did not have my phone number. The student initially started off the message saying I had to reach out to a teacher who was still currently there. And he said, so I was an English student of yours in 2015, 2016. He identified himself, but I'm not going to share that. He said, and I got your number from so-and-so. He said, I recently heard you're no longer at Springfield, and I wanted to take time to tell you how greatly you impacted me as a student. I remember working on the sensory information essay during break and thinking about all the hints you gave us for writing. That was the first essay that I ever felt memorably proud of. This is 9th grade. And there have been many others throughout my academic career that trace back to that moment. I wrote many essays while at the University of Toronto, many of which were research papers, and not once did I feel like I lacked the necessary skills to perform well. While I attribute this to all 3 of my English teachers at the school, it started in your class. Not only did you teach some vital academic skills, but I learned from you the power of compassion and positivity. You always knew how to find the bright side of difficult situations. And you showed us every day how a kind teacher allows students to flourish. You also took care of my sister in a time when she needed someone looking out for her. And for this, my mom and I are extremely grateful. I just have so much appreciation that I want to share with you. I hope you stay well, and thank you again for playing such a huge role, whether you knew it or not, in shaping me as a student and a person.
That was truly and powerful. And this is probably the most difficult question I have to ask. And if I don't ask it, then I'm doing myself and I'm doing the guest a disservice. And it may sound kind of harsh. I know what you went through. I know why you had to do what you had to do. You just read 2 powerful things. And I know as a teacher, former teacher, what that's like to impact. We're supposed to impact.
And we know of it.
Yeah.
You don't often hear
We started this show off with moral responsibilities, moral hazard, and what we call the oath that we as educators, I'm either educating as like when we was here with my friend, even in the fitness industry, I have an obligation to do that. I have to lead by example, not condemning your choice on what you did. But some people would say, if you have that much compassion, you've forsaken your children to cater to other children who, according to you, didn't have the same set mother and father in the household and so forth. Why risk it all for a house, car, and mortgage when I know hindsight is 2020? You could reevaluate and just start life all over again. Small apartment, blah, 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 blah. You let 5 years go by. You had confidant in the dude within a year. Some of it may not make any sense. People can sit here and formulate shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Oh, sure.
But at the end of the day, that's what you're passionate about. If I were offered a position today, you would take it. I know you would
take it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I would have to think twice.
But why give it up? And then the biggest question people got, why give it up? Why put yourself in that situation? And did you really think it through thorough enough?
No, that's the thing. So it's the intention behind my actions was never to give that up, because there was nothing that wanted to make me give that up. I mean, not even, it's funny. I mean, my husband even said to me the one time, why, teacher? You are so driven, and you work, you go above and beyond in anything and everything that you do.
Yeah.
Why did you settle for just being a teacher? You could have been making so much more money. And it was never about that for me. It was never about that paycheck. I was so naive to think that I could do this so discreetly and not get caught. I was so naive to think that by sharing what I was doing, I mean, I know it was eating away at me, but if I just kept my mouth shut, would I still be there today? And would I not only still be there today, would it be all done? Would it be over with? Would it be behind me? I don't know. I can't think about those what ifs.
Right.
Because those are paralyzing. They're debilitating.
Yeah.
I chose to live, and I chose to live for my kids at home and my kids in the classroom. And as he even said, you know, I've shown that you can get through those tough times. That's what I'm still here to do. That's what I'm still here to do, and I'm going to do it.
I know you are. I know you are. You know, thank you so much for taking that time. What's next for you? What's next for you? That's the big question. What's next for you?
Well,
You still have the site.
I do.
You've already indicated the purpose for that. And it's not for us to judge why you do what you do. Really, the damage is done.
Like I said, and probably the people that are on there now, knowing that I've come out and said that I think it's absolutely disgusting and what you're getting on there. I mean, I'm a very authentic person.
Yeah.
That's about as inauthentic as I can be. You know, and I know that's like the worst advertisement but whatever. I mean, I'm here to speak my truth.
But some people will say, why not shut it down, start your life over? You want to cheat. Somebody might give you that opportunity.
That's what I'm saying. If somebody else has an opportunity out there to make an impact, you know, let me know. I'll interview. I'll apply. I'll show you and share with you the potential that I have to go out and do something purposeful and powerful.
Yeah, you made a mistake.
Yep.
Your back was against the corner. You had to become a big, you had to do what
That's right.
You know, you had to do what you had to do.
I did.
And who are we?
But yeah.
Who are we? That's what we need to realize. The biggest sin of this planet is to judge.
Right.
Nobody's going to judge you in the IMB studio. And nobody should judge that are listening. Because at the end of the day, you don't know what you're going to do until you have your back against the wall.
Right. And, you know, you haven't worn my shoes, so don't tell me how to lace them. I think that's one of the things, K-Hugs and I were talking about yesterday. But you know what? I mean, that said, and like you said, I had a beast mind, go through all of that. But it's also, I'm a bigger beast now because all of that.
Wow.
That's right. I mean, I truly, but as much as I
well, that's what your boyfriend said. He said, you know, yesterday he was like, hey, Dre, you know, she needed this.
That's right.
She needed this.
I've not been called out. I've been called up.
Yeah.
You know, call me out all you want. That's okay because I've been called up. I've been called up for bigger and better things despite all of this.
Let's close out this show. Thank you so much for taking time to come on here. I would suggest that you guys basically click and listen to the first episode to get caught up on where we at with the final conclusion. My hat's off to you. You definitely got that beast mindset. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to showcase your story. And
thank you for allowing me the opportunity to address to welcome the questions and give me an opportunity to address them.
Yeah. And you was a great co-host.
I appreciate it.
I think everybody that you met, you resonated with, or you learned something from them.
Oh, yeah.
Which they all have gone through something and came out, either making a difference or impacting someone else's life.
Yeah. And I was meant to be here in this chair to be exposed to all of that. I love what's happening here. I really do.
You can come back anytime. Like I said, I never know who's going to knock on that door. I never know who's going to ask to be on the show. But in the meantime, make sure you click, subscribe, follow, touch that button. Sometimes all it takes is one click to make a difference in somebody's life as well as your own. This has been another, and I do mean another, exciting episode. Say it with me, baby girl. Exciting episode of the Andre
The Beast Crayton Show.